Good evening, I'm Monica James, and you're watching Supreme News, your trusted source for in-depth reporting and breaking updates. Tonight, we're diving into the latest from Washington, D.C., where President-elect Donald Trump is shaping his administration. From bold picks to surprising names, we'll break down the key members of Trump's cabinet and senior staff so far, who they are, what they bring to the table, and the roles they'll play in shaping America's future. Stay with us as we bring you the list of Trump's cabinet picks and other top staff so far, right here on Supreme News. Here are the people Trump has chosen for critical cabinet posts and other top White House and administration jobs. Number 1. Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent. On November 22, President-elect Donald Trump announced his intention to nominate Scott Bessent, CEO of the hedge fund Key Square Group, as Treasury Secretary. Bessent, 62, is the founder of the Connecticut-based hedge fund and had actively pursued the role, according to a source closely involved in the transition process. In a statement, Trump expressed his enthusiasm, calling Bessent one of the world's foremost international investors and geopolitical and economic strategists, and stating he was most pleased to nominate him. Like Trump, Bessent supports the use of tariffs as a means to generate revenue and protect American industries. Earlier in his career, Bessent spent nearly a decade working for billionaire investor George Soros, a major donor to liberal causes, and at one point served as the executive director of Soros hedge fund. Bessent, who is openly gay, lives with his husband, former New York City prosecutor John Freeman, and their 2 children. If confirmed, he would become the first openly gay cabinet member in a Republican administration to be Senate confirmed. A South Carolina native, Bessent graduated from Yale University. Number 2. Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. On November 23, President-elect Donald Trump announced that Brooke Rollins would be his nominee to lead the U.S. Department of Agriculture (USDA). Rollins is a seasoned policy expert with close ties to Trump's previous administration, where she served as the director of the Domestic Policy Council. She currently holds the position of president at the America First Policy Institute, a conservative think tank dedicated to promoting policies aligned with American interests. In his announcement, Trump commended Rollins for her steadfast dedication to the agricultural sector, stating, "Brooke's commitment to supporting America's farmers, safeguarding our nation's food independence, and revitalizing agriculture-dependent small towns across the country is unmatched." Number 3. Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez DeRemer. President-elect Donald Trump has announced his intention to nominate Representative Lori Chavez DeRemer of Oregon to lead the Department of Labor. Chavez DeRemer, a first-term Republican, recently lost her re-election bid in Oregon's 5th congressional district to Democratic challenger Janelle Bingham. In his statement, Trump praised Chavez DeRemer for her dedication to strengthening America's workforce, saying, "Lori has worked tirelessly with both business and labor to support the hardworking men and women of this country and to build a robust workforce." The announcement received support from key labor leaders, including Teamsters President Sean O'Brien, who expressed gratitude for the nomination, noting that it reflected a commitment to putting American workers first. As Secretary of Labor, Chavez DeRemer is expected to bring her experience and collaborative approach to addressing labor challenges and advocating for the nation's workers. Number 4. Surgeon General, Dr. Janet Nesheiwat. President-elect Donald Trump has announced his intention to appoint Dr. Janet Nesheiwat as the nation's next Surgeon General. Dr. Neshawat is a highly accomplished medical professional, holding double board certifications and serving as the medical director of CITIMD, a prominent chain of urgent care centers in New York. She is also widely recognized as a medical contributor for Fox News, where she shares her expertise on public health and preventive care. In his statement, Trump lauded Dr. Neshawat's dedication to advancing public health, calling her a fierce advocate and effective communicator for preventive medicine and wellness. He also highlighted her critical contributions during the COVID-19 pandemic, noting her frontline work in New York City, where she treated thousands of patients. Trump further credited her efforts in supporting the implementation of Operation Warp Speed, which he described as a historic initiative that saved hundreds of millions of lives. As Surgeon General, Dr. Neshawat is expected to draw upon her extensive medical background and public health experience to address the nation's healthcare challenges and promote wellness. Number 5. Deputy Secretary of Health and Human Services, Jim O'Neill. President-elect Donald Trump has announced his intention to nominate Jim O'Neill as the Deputy Secretary of Health and Human Services. O'Neill brings extensive experience to the role, having held several positions within during the George W. Bush administration, including serving as Principal Associate Deputy Secretary. Additionally, he was the CEO of the Thiel Foundation from 2009 to 2012, where he focused on advancing innovative ideas and projects. In his statement, Trump expressed confidence in O'Neill's ability to lead alongside Robert F. Kennedy JRB, saying Jim and RFK JRB will work together to ensure that every American, especially our most valuable asset, our children, can live long, healthy lives. Together, they will make America great and healthy again. Number 6. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. President-elect Donald Trump has announced his selection of Jamieson Greer as the next U.S. Trade Representative. A seasoned trade lawyer, Greer is expected to play a pivotal role in advancing Trump's plans to implement comprehensive tariffs if confirmed. Trump highlighted Greer's experience during his first administration, noting his instrumental contributions under then U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, particularly in the imposition of tariffs on China. Greer's expertise and leadership will be central to shaping the administration's trade policies, with a focus on protecting American industries and strengthening the nation's economic position on the global stage. Number 7. Director of the National Institutes of Health, Jay Bhattacharya. President-elect Donald Trump has announced his decision to appoint Jay Bhattacharya as the next director of the National Institutes of Health (NEH). Trump emphasized that Bhattacharya will collaborate closely with Robert F. Kennedy JRB, his nominee for Secretary of Health and Human Services, to steer the nation's medical research efforts and drive breakthroughs that improve health outcomes and save lives. Bhattacharya currently leads Stanford University's Center for Demography and Economics of Health and Aging. He is widely recognized for co-authoring the Great Barrington Declaration, an open letter advocating against widespread COVID-19 lockdowns prior to vaccine availability. The declaration recommended that healthy individuals resume normal activities to build herd immunity while prioritizing protections for those at greatest risk. In his statement, Trump expressed optimism about the leadership team, stating, "Together, Jay and RFK Jr. will restore the NIH to the gold standard of medical research as they tackle America's most pressing health challenges, including the ongoing crisis of chronic illness and disease." Bhattacharya's appointment signals a focus on revitalizing research efforts and addressing critical health issues with innovative approaches. Number 8. Secretary of the Navy, John Felon. President-elect Donald Trump has announced his selection of businessman John Felon as the next Secretary of the Navy. Felon is the co-founder and chairman of Rugger Management, an investment firm based in Palm Beach, Florida, and the co-founder of Miss Capital, the private investment firm managing the wealth of Michael Dell, the founder and CEO of Dell Technologies. While Felon has not served in the military, he brings extensive leadership and management experience to the role. In his announcement, Trump praised Felon's expertise, stating, "His exceptional knowledge and experience will enhance the lives of the courageous Americans who serve our nation. John will deliver real results for our Navy and our country. I look forward to working with him." Felon's appointment underscores a focus on leveraging private sector expertise to drive innovation and operational efficiency within the Navy. Number 9. Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, retired General Keith Kellogg. Former President Trump named retired General Keith Kellogg as the Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, announcing the decision on social media. Trump highlighted Kellogg's distinguished military and business career and his service in key national security roles during Trump's first administration. Kellogg previously served as Chief of Staff to the National Security Council and as National Security Advisor to then Vice President Mike Pence. In this new role as Assistant to the President and Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, Kellogg takes on the position as the conflict in Ukraine approaches the 3-year anniversary of Russia's February 2022 invasion. Number 10. Food and Drug Administration Commissioner Marty Makary. Dr. Marty Makary has been nominated to serve as Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration, Trump announced on November 22. Makary is a surgeon at Johns Hopkins and professor at Johns Hopkins Carey Business School. Makary has also long been an ally of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Trump's selection for Secretary of Health and Human Services, and well-liked in so-called health freedom circles. The FDA is an agency within the HS, and Trump in his statement said that Makary will work under the leadership of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Makary appeared to promote ideas that were against those of mainstream medicine, suggesting natural immunity lessened people's need for the vaccine. He also argued many children did not need to be vaccinated against the disease. Number 11. Secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Scott Turner. Former NFL player Scott Turner was selected by Trump on November 22 to serve as Secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Turner previously worked in Trump's first administration as the Executive Director of the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council. According to the Associated Press, Turner is the highest-ranking black individual chosen for Trump's administration to date. Number 12. Director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Dave Welden. Trump has appointed former Congressman and Florida physician Dave Welden to lead the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC). Welden, a 14-year member of Congress first elected in 1994, brings 40 years of medical experience to the role. After leaving the House in 2008, he ran unsuccessfully for Senate in the 2012 GOP primary. A Christian conservative, Welden played a prominent role in the 2005 case of Terry Schiavo, a brain-damaged woman at the center of a national debate over end-of-life decisions. Welden introduced legislation to require federal review of the state court decision allowing her feeding tube to be removed, believing Schiavo was not in a vegetative state. During his time in Congress, Welden served on the House Oversight Committee and the Labor HS Appropriations Subcommittee, focusing on budget issues related to the CDC and the Department of Health and Human Services. Announcing the appointment, Trump stated that Welden would prioritize transparency, competence, and high standards at the CDC. Number 13. Attorney General Pam Bondi. On November 21, the same day former GOP Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida withdrew from consideration for Attorney General, President-elect Trump announced Pam Bondi, Florida's former Attorney General, as his new nominee. Bondi served 2 terms as Florida's Attorney General, becoming the first woman elected to the role in 2010. A strong Trump ally, she notably defended him during his first impeachment trial. After her tenure, Bondi joined the America First Policy Institute, a conservative think tank, working alongside Linda McMahon and other Trump supporters to promote right-wing policies since 2021. Gaetz withdrew his nomination amid controversy over an investigation by the House Ethics Committee into allegations of sexual misconduct, drug use, and obstruction. Trump had announced Gaetz as his initial pick just over a week earlier, despite the congressman's history of legal scrutiny, including a now-closed Justice Department investigation into alleged sex trafficking and obstruction of justice. While federal prosecutors declined to file charges, several Republican senators had voiced reservations about supporting his nomination. Announcing Bondi's nomination, Trump shifted focus to her extensive legal and leadership experience, marking a new chapter in his Attorney General selection process. Number 14. U.S. Ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra. Former President Trump has selected Pete Hoekstra to serve as the U.S. Ambassador to Canada. Hoekstra, currently the chair of the Michigan Republican Party, previously represented Michigan's 2nd Congressional District and served as the U.S. Ambassador to the Netherlands during Trump's first term. In announcing the appointment, Trump praised Hoekstra's performance, stating, "He did an outstanding job as United States Ambassador to the Netherlands during our first 4 years, and I am confident that he will continue to represent our country well in this new role." Number 15. Office of Management and Budget Director, Russ Vought. Trump has announced Russ Vought as his pick for Office of Management and Budget Director. Vought previously held this position during the latter part of Trump's first administration. Vought played a key role in crafting the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, a comprehensive plan aimed at implementing a significant conservative transformation of the executive branch under the next Republican president. Additionally, Vought served as the policy director for the 2024 Republican National Committee's Platform Committee, which formalized the GOP platform during the party's convention in July. Number 16. U.S. Ambassador to Nato, Matthew Whitaker. Former President Trump has named Matthew Whitaker, his former acting U.S. Attorney General, as the U.S. Ambassador to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization (NATO). In his announcement, Trump stated that Whitaker would strengthen relationships with our NATO allies and stand firm in the face of threats to peace and stability. At 55, Whitaker brings a legal background rather than a traditional foreign policy resume to the role. He previously served as the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Iowa, a position he was appointed to by President George W. Bush. Whitaker's tenure as acting Attorney General under Trump was brief, lasting from November 2018 to February 2019. Number 17. Education Secretary, Linda McMahon. Trump has announced Linda McMahon as his pick to lead the Department of Education. McMahon, a former wrestling executive, previously headed the Small Business Administration during Trump's first term and currently serves as co-chair of his 2024 transition team. In his statement, Trump said, "As Secretary of Education, Linda will fight tirelessly to expand choice to every state in America and empower parents to make the best education decisions for their families. We will send education back to the states, and Linda will spearhead that effort." During his campaign, Trump vowed to shut down the Department of Education, criticizing its large budget and alleging that many staff members in many cases hate our children. McMahon and her husband, WWE Chairman Vince McMahon, have been close friends of Trump for over 2 decades and are among his most prominent. Number 18. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator, Dr. Mehmet Oz. Dr. Mehmet Oz, a celebrity heart surgeon and former television host, has been chosen by Trump to lead the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services (CMS). This agency, part of the Department of Health and Human Services, oversees Medicare, Medicaid, the Children's Health Insurance Program, and the federal health insurance marketplace. America is facing a health care crisis, and there may be no physician more qualified and capable than Dr. Oz to make America healthy again, Trump said in his announcement. He described Oz as an eminent physician, heart surgeon, inventor, and world-class communicator who has been at the forefront of healthy living for decades. Trump noted that Oz will collaborate with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., pending Kennedy's confirmation as head of H, to address the illness industrial complex and tackle chronic diseases. Trump also signaled potential reforms, stating that Oz will cut waste and fraud within our country's most expensive government agency, which accounts for a third of our nation's healthcare spending and a quarter of our entire national budget. Oz previously ran for the U.S. Senate in Pennsylvania in 2022 with Trump's endorsement but lost to Democrat John Fetterman. Number 19. Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. On November 19, Trump announced his intention to nominate billionaire Howard Lutnick as Secretary of Commerce. According to Trump, Lutnick will lead our tariff and trade agenda and oversee the office of the U.S. Trade Representative. Lutnick, the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, has been a significant donor to Trump's campaign and serves as co-chair of his transition team. Highlighting Lutnick's contributions to the transition effort, Trump stated, "He has created the most sophisticated process and system to." Number 20. White House Chief of Staff. Susie Wiles. Trump announced that Susie Wiles, his campaign co-chair, will serve as his White House Chief of Staff, making the announcement just one day after his election victory. Wiles, a seasoned political strategist based in Florida, will be the first woman in U.S. history to hold this position. Although the Chief of Staff is not a Senate-confirmed role, it is highly prestigious and often regarded as part of the cabinet. Number 21. U.S. Ambassador to France. Charles Kushner. On November 30th, former President Donald Trump announced his selection of Charles Kushner, a real estate developer and father of his son-in-law Jared Kushner, to serve as the U.S. Ambassador to France. Charles Kushner, 70, received a pardon from Trump during his first term for a 2005 federal conviction. He was found guilty of 18 counts, including assisting in the filing of false tax returns, retaliating against a cooperating witness, and making false statements to the Federal Election Commission (FEC). The case, prosecuted by former New Jersey Governor Chris Kristi, resulted in a 2-year prison sentence. Jared Kushner, who is married to Trump's daughter Ivanka, served as a senior advisor during Trump's first term. In his announcement on Truth Social, Trump praised Charles Kushner as a tremendous business leader, philanthropist, and dealmaker and expressed confidence in his ability to be a strong advocate representing our country and its interests. Number 22. Kelly Loeffler, nominated to lead Small Business Administration. Former Senator Kelly Loeffler of Georgia has been selected by former President Donald Trump to head the Small Business Administration SBA, as announced on December 4th. Loeffler, who served in the Senate from 2020 to 2021 after being appointed to fill the seat of retired Georgia Senator Johnny Isakson, lost her subsequent election bid to Senator Raphael Warnock. In a post on Truth Social, Trump praised Loeffler's business acumen and government experience, stating, "Kelly will bring her experience in business and Washington to reduce red tape and unleash opportunities for our small businesses to grow, innovate, and thrive. She will ensure the SPA is accountable to taxpayers by addressing waste, fraud, and regulatory overreach." Number 23. U.S. Ambassador to the United Kingdom, Warren Stevens. On December 2nd, former President Donald Trump announced his intention to nominate Warren Stevens, a prominent Republican donor and CEO of the investment bank Stevens Inc., as the next U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom. Praising Stevens, Trump described him as one of the most successful businessmen in the United States and noted that he has always dreamed of serving the United States full-time. Number 24. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Former President Donald Trump has announced his intention to nominate Florida Senator Marco Rubio as the next Secretary of State. The decision signifies a notable shift from their days as rivals during the 2016 Republican primaries. Rubio, 53, brings a wealth of foreign policy expertise to the role. As a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and the leading Republican on the Senate Intelligence Committee, he is a staunch China hawk with a strong track record in international affairs. Number 25. Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanch. Todd Blanch was picked to serve as Deputy Attorney General, the second highest position. Number 26. Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Former President Donald Trump has announced Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as his pick to lead the Department of Health and Human Services (HS). In his statement, Trump praised Kennedy's determination to challenge what he called the industrial food complex and drug companies for spreading deception, misinformation, and disinformation. Trump added that Kennedy would help make America great and healthy again. Kennedy, known for his controversial views on vaccines, has faced criticism for spreading misleading claims about their safety. He has pledged to tackle what he describes as an epidemic of chronic diseases, attributing many health issues to the influence of large pharmaceutical and food corporations. Kennedy has cited conditions like autism, ADD, infertility, sleep disorders, diabetes, and obesity as areas of concern and has advocated for removing fluoride from drinking water. Previously, Kennedy launched an independent bid for the presidency but dropped out of the race in August, endorsing Trump shortly thereafter. Number 27. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins. Trump tapped former Republican Representative Doug Collins of Georgia to lead the Department of Veterans Affairs, filling another cabinet position with a military veteran. Collins served in Congress from 2013 to 2021 and, as the top Republican on the House Judiciary Committee, defended Trump during his first impeachment hearing. "We must take care of our brave men and women in uniform." Number 28. Uni. Ambassador, Alise Stefanic. Former President Donald Trump has selected Representative Alise Stefanic to serve as the next U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Stefanic, a representative from upstate New York and a prominent Trump ally, currently holds the position of chair of the House Republican Conference, making her the fourth-ranking Republican in the House. In a statement to CBS News, Trump expressed his confidence in Stefanic, saying, "I am honored to nominate Chairwoman Alise Stefanic to serve in my cabinet as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations." Alise is an incredibly strong, tough, and smart America First fighter. Stefanic announced her acceptance of the nomination in a letter to her GOP colleagues, withdrawing from the race for conference chair and sharing that she was deeply humbled by the opportunity. The appointment is subject to Senate confirmation. Number 29. Border Czar, Tom Homan. Former President Donald Trump has announced that Tom Homan will serve as border czar in his administration. Homan previously held the role of acting director of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement during Trump's first term. In a statement on Truth Social, Trump praised Homan as a stalwart on border control and confirmed his appointment, stating, "Former ICE Director Tom Homan will oversee our nation's borders, maritime and aviation security, and lead all deportation efforts for illegal aliens back to their countries of origin. Strengthening border security and deportations was a central theme of Trump's campaign. This position does not require Senate confirmation. Homan recently discussed the plan for mass deportations in an interview with 60 Minutes correspondent Cecilia Vega, asserting that the initiative was necessary amid the ongoing immigration crisis. Talk of mass deportation is not threatening to the immigrant community, Homan explained. It should be threatening to the illegal immigrant community, especially in the context of an historic illegal immigration crisis. This has to be done. Number 30. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Trump announced that he will nominate former Fox News host Pete Hegseth to head the Department of Defense. Pete has spent his entire life as a warrior for the troops and for the country. Pete is tough, smart, and a true believer in America first. With Pete at the helm, America's enemies are on notice. Our military will be great again, and America will never back down, the president-elect said in a statement. Trump praised Hegseth's military record as an Army combat veteran who served in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Guantanamo Bay. Hegseth, 44, was a co-host of Fox and Friends Weekends and author of the book The War on Warriors, Behind the Betrayal of the Men Who Keep Us Free, which rails against what he calls the warped, woke, and caustic policies of our current military. Number 31. Crypto Czar David Sachs. On December 5, President-elect Donald Trump announced that venture capitalist David Sachs will serve as his White House AI and crypto czar. In a statement shared on Truth Social, Trump praised Sachs, saying he will guide policy for the administration in artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency, two areas critical to the future of American competitiveness. Details about the scope of Sachs' role remain unclear. The announcement follows Trump's selection of Paul Atkins to head the Securities and Exchange Commission, a known advocate for cryptocurrency. Notably, Bitcoin's value surpassed $100,000 for the first time just a day after Atkins' nomination, a landmark moment for the digital currency market. Sachs, a pivotal figure in the creation of PayPal where he served as COO, later founded Yammer, a social networking platform. He has also invested in major companies like SpaceX, Uber, and Palantir. Although once a supporter of Hillary Clinton, Sachs has become a staunch Trump ally, backing both Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance during the recent election cycle. He has also been influential in rallying Silicon Valley support for Trump's campaign. In July, Sachs delivered remarks at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, solidifying his role as a prominent voice in the GOP's tech and innovation agenda. Number 32. Social Security Administration Commissioner Frank Bisignano. Trump on December 4 announced he will nominate Frank Bisignano to head the Social Security Administration. Bisignano is currently the president and CEO of Fiserv, a financial technology and payment company. Frank is a business leader with a tremendous track record of transforming large corporations, Trump wrote on social media. He will be responsible to deliver on the agency's